What do we call this again?
Production meeting. Getting our links set up.
Okay. There she goes.
It's the Iller and Filthier live production meeting going into this week, which will be episode 6 this Thursday night. I think that's going to be May 27th for those of you that are marking it on your calendar to hang out with myself and my buddy Greg. How you doing, Greg? It's been
What's up? It's been a bit, man.
We took a week off, didn't we?
Yeah, holidays, work stuff. I know you had some projects going on, so yeah.
Yeah, we try to squeeze in Iller and Filthier each week to entertain the masses of followers that we've been getting here in the last few weeks. And last week we just could not fit it into the schedule to squeeze it in. And like Greg said, we had Memorial Day weekend, a lot of family stuff to do, a lot of work projects and stuff. So, but we are back. And we are here with a production meeting to kind of go over some ideas to kind of figure out where we stand going into Thursday. Greg and I really haven't been able to kind of plan anything out. So that's what the production meetings are for. So you have anything in mind that you're kind of thinking we can do?
I do. I think, unless you have something that wants to override it, but it could be, I think it should be a little music heavy this week. It is, okay. Or at least that's what I have my thoughts on.
Those are fun.
I thought it would be fun to go, like last week they completed the Apple put out their top 100 and best albums of all time, they're calling it.
Okay.
And I immediately I put a little snippet on our TikTok and stuff, just having fun with it, because I don't agree with most of it. So I just thought it'd be fun to kind of look at, maybe we'd focus on the top 10 and just chat about it a little bit, get our thoughts on what we think. I think so I think that would just be fun to talk through. The top 100's interesting when you look through it. I mean, it's all the things you think might be in there, but
right.
I find the top 10 very interesting.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like fun. And I heard that it came out, and I think I saw your TikTok or your short form video that you had posted. I think you did it on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
And I know that Apple had put that out, and I saw some headlines on it, but I haven't actually looked at it. So would you recommend that I look at it before coming into the show?
Yeah.
Or should we come in and you've seen it, you've analyzed it, and then I kind of jump in on Thursday, or you want me to look at it first and then?
I think you should look at. I don't know. What do you think? If you haven't looked at it, maybe you should wait.
I haven't looked at it. I could see it going two different ways. This is kind of what I find interesting about doing our show. When you're bouncing ideas off of somebody, and a lot of the things that we bring into the show, either you have a little bit more background into it than I do. And it's kind of like one of those things to where the dichotomy of seeing somebody that sees it right then and there.
Yeah.
The discovery of opening Christmas presents right then and there versus.
I like it. Yeah, I think it'd be good. I think we both enjoy talking about music and albums and stuff, and you getting into collecting vinyl and everything. I think it'll be cool to scan the list, but I just think it'll be a good discussion, and you can go into it cold turkey. I think that'd be good and fun for you.
Okay. Yeah. I think that sounds like a fun idea for episode 6 on Thursday.
Yeah. I don't think we have to do too much prep. I can probably figure out a way to snip the albums, or we might be able to show their site is actually pretty good.
Okay.
If
there's a way we can,
let me practice
pull up a window.
Yeah.
Or a tab.
Let me see if I can.
That way we don't have to do any kind of graphics.
Yeah. I think I can do this. Let's see.
And this is what the production meeting is for. And this, again, if you're looking at doing a show of your own and you got a buddy that you want to do it with or whatever, this is some of the planning that has to go on.
Can you see that?
Yeah. Let me see if we can add that here.
Okay. Yeah. So this is, try not to. This is just scanning
I'm cheating right now, but I'm kind of looking. I'll reserve whatever comments. So all of those albums are on that list, correct? What I was saying.
Yeah, and if I scroll down, they go into the individual. So I just wanted to see if it'll work. But yeah, I can start scrolling down.
Yeah.
And then it has its own almost presentation. So if I can just share that, I think that's good enough for what we got. And like you said, we won't have to do a lot of pre-work then.
That sounds like a blast. So if you want to be our shepherd and kind of maneuver us through however you want us to talk, and it could be a self-discovery for me.
Okay.
And so going into Thursday, if I'm understanding, are you having an issue with the top 10 or with the top 100?
Both. It's terrible. I want to understand more. I haven't yet understood what the criteria of the list is. So I know they assembled the list with a lot of people. So imagine it being like the NCAA football. You know how there's the group that gets together and decides
the playoff committee or whatever.
It seems like that, but I want to learn a little more. I find the top 10 kind of crazy. I think the top 100's right in general. I think everybody could argue with the order. And so I think that's hard to do. But I think the top 100 is probably what you'd expect. But the top 10, I found the top 10, like, is this just click worthy? Like, are they like,
everything's click worthy these days, right?
Yeah. So I struggle with the top 10. So I think that's where the most discussion will be, I would guess.
Okay. Let me ask you a big question here. You don't have to answer it today. We'll maybe bring it up on Thursday. So your issue with the top 10, is that from Greg's personal preference of music that you like? Or is it from your music industry background? Because Greg has mentioned before on my podcast, the Tossing Salad podcast, that he had worked for, can we say who you worked for before?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah.
Greg worked for Best Buy, right?
Yeah.
And what was your job there, just real briefly?
I did, I was an inventory planner and a buyer. So I managed all of its inventory for categories as well as a buyer. A lot of time in video games, but I spent some time in music as well, which was super fun to get to see a little behind the scenes of the music industry.
That
was back in 2008
and stuff and meet groups and bands,
meet groups,
artists.
Yeah. I mean, they were my product. So just like the Wi-Fi guy coming in with this, cool new router, like for me, it was 2008. So I met Katy Perry, I met Adele, anybody that was kind of breaking in 2008. So that was pretty fun. As well as, met Bon Jovi and what's her name? I can't think of her name. The girl with that slept in her van and had a bad tooth. Do you know who that is?
I'm trying to remember all the people that you had mentioned.
Yeah. Anyway, it was super fun time for me though, just to be able to meet different artists and stuff.
So the big question for you then is the issue that you have with Apple's top 10 of their top 100 albums of all time, is that a Greg personal issue with the top 10, or is that a Greg music industry issue that you have with the top 10? Just think about it.
Yeah. I try to think of, I don't think of myself as a music snob. Like I have specific tastes in music, and I know that a lot of stuff I like isn't going to be in the top 10, but it was interesting that there were things I expected and things that I'm like, what? So that was just knowing and understanding music, I think I could feel out probably a handful of albums that are going to be in there.
Sure.
So it's just interesting. So I'd be curious to get your perspective on it too.
I think that's a great idea.
We'll have some fun with it. And then I have a little game I thought we could play. It's something I wanted to circle back to some of our previous episodes. Unless you have something else, I've got a little goofy game we can play, a little match game for you.
Yeah.
That'll tie us back to our 80s hair metal ranking we did.
Okay.
And tie into some of your foreigner questions. It's just a little match game I thought we could play.
I love it. Producer Greg back in the seat again this week after a week off. So what is it? Does it feel like after having a week off of not thinking about the show or whatever, is it kind of exciting for you to start trying to come up with ideas for the show?
Yeah, I feel like there's always ideas. It's just a matter of figuring out when we want to do certain things and trying to be timely. So I think lately it just seems like being timely with stuff is, and again, who knows, like last week probably would have been awesome to do the Apple thing when it came out. But I also didn't see, I was trying to find it like online. I didn't see it didn't seem like it created a big Twitter buzz or anything. I mean, I did see it.
Yeah.
I
saw it from you first before I saw any headlines, and I really haven't seen much talked about.
Right. So it popped up on my phone as like, because if you have Apple phone, like the playlist is available. You can go to Apple, like, and that's what I did last week. I played some of the top albums. I'm just like, okay, if somebody says this is the best album ever, maybe I want to listen to it. So there is the playlist is out there. You can get it on your phone and stuff. But it sounds like they maybe had counted down, and then last week was finally the reveal of the top 10 or something. Okay. So I guess I didn't see, but yeah. But anyway, back to your original question. Yeah, I think we've always got stuff lined up, and I'm enjoying trying to find little ways to tie back to our previous episodes and stuff too, a little bit.
If it wasn't for Iller and Filthier, like, what would you do with these ideas? Just keep them to yourself, or you just lay in bed and talk to Rachel at night and be like,
yeah,
here's
she's just
goofy shit that I'm thinking about?
She's just over it. Yeah, no, I think like the music, that's always an interesting conversation. So I happened to go golfing Friday with a buddy of mine, and we brought it up because he saw the list too, and he's like totally agreed with me too. He's like, who the hell's making this list? Like,
right.
And he had an interesting perspective, which we can talk about Thursday too, on what in his mind makes a good band. And I like the way he thinks about it, or what the longevity piece maybe.
You'll have to send him or her. I don't know if it was a guy or girl you were golfing with. A link to the show on Thursday.
Yeah, I'll do that.
That way they can hang out in the comment section and
But yeah, no, it's just been fun. All these little things that pop up. Some of it's, like you said, it's stuff that comes out in the media. Like I was really ingrained in what you were talking about last night, and then the Bucker stuff is still swirling around out there. So that one,
is it? After we kind of talked about it, and then we've taken the week off last week, I haven't really seen much. I mean, when we're not doing our show and I'm not doing my show, I'm just kind of doing my own thing. And I don't socialize. I don't have any friends or anything, which is great. But I kind of thought it died down. Has it not died out?
I still see stuff. I mean, even the other day, I've saw he's still. It's probably slowing a little bit, but there's still quite a bit of stuff flying around out there. Just things I've seen in my social media stuff. Just various people I follow or stuff popping up. What I'm interested in my controversial take, and I've tried to stay out because I don't like to poke the bear, but I told Rachel, I said, I'm ready to poke the bear. I don't know if you saw this, but Brandon McManus, who's the kicker he's bounced around, but he's currently a Washington Commanders kicker.
Well, okay. I don't know him, but okay.
Yeah, he used to play with Denver. But anyway, he was with Jacksonville last year, and he's been sexual assault allegations have been brought up against him. And so my mind last night went to, okay, let's see the outcry for that. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Let's see the outcry that Harrison got for this guy who maybe sexually assaulted somebody.
Did that just come out? Or
yeah. But I guarantee you the same people that put all the stuff out about Harrison and how terrible he is won't make a peep about that. And I just find that interesting.
Yeah, do you think that has a little to do with Kansas City Chiefs versus the Washington?
No, I don't think so. I think
what's the Washington team now? They changed their name, right?
Commanders.
I don't follow much of the NFL anymore since I quit playing fantasy football. So I know they changed it, and everybody got upset about changing it, and then
I think in this day and age, his comments, because they went so viral, they probably were a little bigger because he's on the Chiefs.
You're talking about the Chiefs guy, okay.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I think that would have got the same attention if he was on another team, but because he was on the Chiefs and the most probably talked about team right now, just because of all the stuff that goes, they're winning Super Bowls.
They're the team.
Yeah, but they've also got, they strike a chord across the country, whether you like them or hate them, right? Like they're the new Patriots. Everybody, if you don't love them, you hate them. And they've got celebrities on the team. So I think there's a little bit. Yeah, I think it still would have happened on another team, but I think because it's the Chiefs probably added a little more of the national flavor to it, maybe.
Right.
Like national people would be like, oh, it's the Chiefs. We can talk about it,
So are you saying you think the Washington kicker should be out there just as much, or the Kansas City kicker news should be down where?
No, I think
the Washington kicker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The same people, I guess what I'm saying, the same people that are upset. If you're that upset about what he said in a speech that didn't hurt anybody, I mean, granted, he did say some nasty comments about the trans community and stuff like that. I'm just kind of putting that like the stuff in general. His message was about, women being at home and they belong in the house, being housewives, raising children. In my mind, that's an opinion and not hurtful to anybody. Whereas this situation is definitely, that's a different, and granted, who knows, it may come out that none of this is true, could be one of those things, but still, I assume those same people bothered by the one thing should be very bothered by the other thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think a little bit has to do with the fact that, again, I don't follow the NFL. I don't know necessarily outside of Washington. People talk about Washington very much with whatever happens on that team versus Kansas City. Like you said, they are the new Patriots, the new dynasty, whether you like them or hate them. That's a great comment. I mean, I haven't heard anything about it, so I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see how it plays out. I mean,
but here's the thing that I'm curious. We could talk about, make this a little bit of a segment here
on
just
Thursday,
to kind of follow up.
What happened. Yeah.
I guess in the last couple of weeks since our last episode, and we brought up what's the kicker's name from Kansas City?
Harrison Butker.
That's right.
Yeah.
Potentially the reason why that has been elevated so much is you have this perfect storm, and it's a perfect time to kind of talk about this in the analogy I want to use because of all the tornadoes, the hot front, the cold front coming together, and you get this tornado.
Yeah.
And then it's political season, so you've got conservative, liberal, red, blue, and it's just this fight, right? Well, last year, what's the biggest thing outside of the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl? And arguably, it might be bigger than the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. What was the biggest storyline?
The Trav and Taylor.
Travis and Taylor, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Travis Kelce, Kansas City Chiefs tight end, Taylor Swift. That's the biggest storyline. So you have a whole flood of her fans coming to the Chiefs, buying Kelce jerseys, and however you want to portray most of the Taylor Swift fans. I mean, not every fan is exactly alike or whatever.
Yeah.
We've all kind of talked about stuff like that with anything. So you had this massive influx of new fans, new people following the Chiefs, and they're all kind of Taylor Swift people.
Yeah.
And then here you have on this other side of things at the end of I guess in between seasons, and then Harrison Butker. And I did see that like his jersey sales since he gave the commencement speech went like through the roof.
Yeah, I think he was number one jersey. Yeah,
so you've got all of super religious conservative fans supporting him.
Yeah.
And coming into this Kansas City Chiefs thing. This side is Taylor Swift fans. You've got the warm air mass, the cold air mass. You got the massive tornadoes through the Midwest. Yep. You're in the Midwest, Kansas City. The Chiefs are the dynasty. Yep. It's like it's all the elements are perfect to highlight anything and everything that can go on with the Chiefs versus, okay, the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about that. I think that's a big part of it also. Maybe that's just my opinion.
Yeah. And maybe it's that it could be that, that the sexual assault obviously is a big, it's a horrible thing. And maybe it's that there's less opinions on that, meaning like we all kind of get that that's wrong and you're not going to have the debate of like, oh, what did he do wrong? You know what I mean? Like maybe there's just less debate there. So it's like, I was just curious. I was like, I wonder where that outcry is going to be. You know what I mean? Because could you imagine if that was reversed? I mean, and that was the Chiefs kicker.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, but I think it's because of that example I gave and the fact that the Kansas City is under that microscope more so than any other team.
Yeah. And it was a speech. I mean, and I know we talked about like Seinfeld got booed out of his commencement speech. And maybe that's just that commencement speeches are starting to get to that place where people kind of throw their agenda a little bit,
I can't
imagine. It's very different from a sexual assault allegation. Like I get that. And maybe that's it. There's just less debate on the topic,
Who would want to do a commencement speech these days? There's no way, because no matter
because you have to be PC about it. You got to, like, both these guys tried to make a statement that's something they felt passionate about.
But that's they have every right to do that, right?
Right.
And the students have every right to whatever, if that's what they want to do, that's fine. Everybody is exhibiting some sort of free speech.
Yeah.
But the people giving it, the onus is on them, I believe. If you're going to bring something up, then you have the freedom to do so, but then you also have to take whatever, you have to face consequences too.
Yeah. Right.
So I just don't see, like, if you're wanting to give a commencement speech, just stick to congratulating the students and don't worry about anything else. And then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, give them your 2 cents. Like, hey, here's my advice when you go out in the world, marry rich, just the stuff that, You
don't even have to marry good looking people.
Yeah,
just marry rich and old, because that's the formula, right?
Yeah. Exactly right.
The old Anna Nicole Smith, remember her?
Yeah. And so clearly I made it a bad decision going back to my FMK. I probably should have picked Chris. Right? She's older, she's got money.
She's older, she has money. That was a fun episode, FMK, with just random people. Have you? So I was going to ask you, and I think I forgot to, or I was about to during our show when we were talking about Harrison Butker. I haven't even seen the whole speech yet. I've only seen the snippets.
Yeah.
And then I did at one point, somebody had linked the actual transcript, and I was getting ready to read it, but then I kind of just lost interest.
Yeah.
Again, not to say that I am or am not passionate about what was or was not said or what was inferred or whatever. I lost interest, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't seen the whole thing. Have you gone to actually see the whole video or his whole speech?
I've seen snippets generally at first, because at first I thought it was very much him basically complimenting his wife. So I was like, wow, that seemed to have gotten taken out of context. To me, as parts I heard, he was like just kind of talking about how great his wife is and stuff. And he did do that. But then I think Rachel or a few other people had told me, I think Rachel's one told me that I guess he did basically say, like, to be trans is bad. I mean, because that's what the Bible, kind of falling back on the Catholic or Christian, not Catholic, Christian beliefs, because that's where he was coming from and speaking to, and that was, Christian school. So that's the one part I think people were like, ooh, those comments were maybe a little rough. but in general, I think it just there's just a lot of bits. I didn't see the whole thing either end to end, but yeah, it's just a lot of like, kind of women.
I think if we could go back into time and do either an extended episode or a follow-up episode on it, I think it would have been interesting. I was going to say fun. I don't know if it would be fun. It could be. It'd be interesting to actually have us watch his actual speech, because I don't think it was that long, right? 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm guessing it was. Yeah.
And then and actually watch it for ourselves, and then you and I try to determine, okay, how much of this is out of context, or is it kind of like, oh, why did you go there?
Yeah.
My only thing, really, and I know people are going to be like, oh, you're such an asshole, Brian, or whatever. My take on it as of right now, not necessarily do I believe or in favor of or not in favor of whatever it is he said. Again, I haven't seen the whole thing, so I can't. I can kind of weigh in a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah.
My thing is with anybody on the Chiefs. This is where I think you'll be interested in what I have to say. The main goal is winning another Super Bowl.
Yep.
So the Chiefs owner, I don't know whether his wife or the owner's daughter or something got into it, I had heard, or something, and
I think they just came to support.
Yeah,
they're also a very Christian family.
And I think like even Mahomes, and I'm sure like Kelsey, I don't know if Kelsey has weighed in or not.
He did last week on New High. Him and Mahomes basically said, like, we support him as a person, but I don't agree with necessarily what he said, but we're, he's our guy. And
my thing is in all of this is the number one most important thing. And I know that there's going to be some people who'll be like, that football is not the number one most important.
No,
look, I get it.
That's their job. Yeah.
I get it. Whatever you want to say, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm talking just real world.
Yep.
Brian and Greg just kind of talking. Cameras aren't even on. Number one priority for all those people involved is winning another Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl.
Yep.
From the owner on down to the kicker.
Yep.
Right. And so I think anybody that makes any kind of decision that jeopardizes that is not putting the team first. And I'm not blaming too much, because everybody's free to live their life outside of their football team or whatever. And nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect at all. But if you're given a commencement speech, just go do it and just celebrate the people that are there.
Right.
And just be like, okay, I'm done. Let's get back to winning a championship. Because I do think we'll see as the season goes on. I'm going to follow the Chiefs with you this year, because I think that'll be fun for me to kind of get back into watching NFL. Yeah. But I want to watch the Chiefs because, well, Missouri, they're your team. I think that'll be interesting. I think it'll actually end up being more of an issue within the locker room.
Yeah. I mean,
and I think that sucks because, like you said, I think he's one of the top kickers in the NFL, right?
Yeah, very much so.
Jeopardizing that Super Bowl for next year.
Yeah, it puts unneeded stress. I mean, I'm expecting he's going to get booed in all the away games. Just like you said, just an extra little thing of pressure that you don't really need. You've already got everything stacked against you to a degree, and to your point, I mean, you're putting. I mean, all the guys are saying the right things to each other, right? And I think it's a pretty mature, and that locker room knows how to handle this stuff. But it's still, like you said, I mean, it might rub somebody wrong and just give you that little bit of like, that guy irritates me, And who knows? Maybe by then it'll blow over quite a bit. But
we're dealing with Swifties, and we're dealing with another group that's going to be highly motivated and involved with political season as well.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of interested to see, I think you said that Travis came out and did say something about it, or Patrick Mahomes did say something about it, but I'm interested to see if Travis Kelce is going to be pressured by Swiftie Nation to say more. Like, I can't imagine, no matter what he tries to say to preserve the Chiefs team bubble.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be enough for Swiftie fans.
I think it is. I don't think that. I haven't seen much from them. I haven't seen any, like, headlines or anything that's like
Good.
Swifty Nation is up and I don't think so. At least I haven't seen anything. It doesn't seem to be. And like I said, Travis already kind of came out, made his statement on his show last week. And it sounds like it was pretty what you would expect. He's like, he's my guy. Welcome to his opinion. I may not agree with him, but he's my guy. We're buddies. We're friends. That's kind of been
You think from a Swifty fan, you think that's enough? If you were a super Swifty fan?
I think so. I mean, yeah, because otherwise I think you would see.
Because you know how we all get egged on sometimes, right?
Yeah.
By people in your camp or your side. Yeah. Our friends will egg you on at work or something to do something that's just not smart.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if people are going to push Travis to come out even more. And then you're going to start the locker room's going to suck.
I don't think so. Because it seems like it's quieting down to a degree. Like I said, I've seen stuff, more just personal things, not necessarily like, national stuff. I haven't seen anything crazy because I think it'll calm kind of down. Because there's, once the next thing happens that draws people's attention, we'll see.
The next national disaster of something, then that'll push back, and then everybody will forget about it.
Yeah,
which is what I think the Chiefs are going to have to hope to do, because is the pecking order within the Chiefs. You probably know a little bit more about the locker room pecking order. Every team from professional on down to youth, little league, or whatever has a pecking order. Yeah, usually it's based off of the guys or girls that are the best athletes or the top players. Is the pecking order, I would assume, Mahomes and Kelsey at the top.
Yeah.
And then you think Butker is top half, bottom half?
No, I think in general, and I think these guys joke about it too in the league, is that I think kickers are like goalies in hockey. They just kind of like, they leave them alone. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like they're kind of, they're not outspoken guys usually. They're not the ones getting interviewed a bunch. They're fairly reserved and quiet. So I just mean it's not typical for kickers to be in the spotlight, right? Like, unless they make a big kick or miss a kick, they're getting interviewed, but they're not, they're just over there kicking, doing their thing. It sounds like in practice. And this, again, just listening to I listen to a lot of Pat McAfee, and he says the same things. I mean, they're off on their own. They're doing drills by themselves when everybody else is practicing. You know what I mean? Like, they're kind of by themselves a lot.
Is McAfee different though?
He's a little bit more out there kind of guy, but he's still when he talks about, practices and things like that. I mean, those guys tend to be off to the side, just doing their thing. Not interacting a lot with the guys. And, I'm sure in the locker room they do, but they're, like I said, they're just not like the wide receiver that needs the camera on them. You don't hear, they're not holding out for contracts, stuff like that. They tend to just kind of be.
Interesting.
So when it comes to pecking order, I mean, he's probably, because I think he's been on the team. I thought I heard Trav say this, that they've been together for 7 years or something. So, so he's obviously like a veteran and, one of the guys and he's won, like I said, he's won a lot of games for him. But I would just say in general, they're pretty quiet guys that just kind of say to themselves.
Right. Do you think that if push came to shove during the season where some of the players are leaking things out to the media or something, that there is an issue? Do you think Butker is the one that would get moved out for, like, let's just say he has just a bad day and misses a couple kicks and they're like, let's use that as an excuse, or no?
Not unless it becomes an issue. Like if he just because kickers, happens to kickers all the time. They cut guys all the time. If he goes on a bad run, but I don't expect that. I mean, he seems to be a big game kicker, so I would guess he'll be able to handle even getting booed if he's going to get booed.
I mean, it's Kansas City, and again, if his jersey is selling everybody, he may get half the stadium booing, but then the other half are going to be cheering him, right?
He won't get booed at home. I think it'll be more on the road. Just it's like you said earlier. It's a little thing. It's a little thing to give people in another city now a chance to be like, whereas they probably wouldn't boo
right
before, they'd make noise or whatever they would do to like, I'll just be curious to see.
It will be interesting to see. I don't know necessarily if my what I envision a general NFL fan, even outside of Kansas City, I don't think necessarily they're going to boo him for those particular views, if you know what I mean.
No, they're just going to boo because like, oh, this guy, yeah, let's boo. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean,
I could see them coming, with like pictures of women in the kitchen and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they'll taunt him and boo him, and it just anything. Like I said, anything to get an advantage over any team, like whatever it is.
You think he'll have the best or a worse season than he's ever had coming up? You think he's made for being in the spotlight or no?
Seems like he is. Yeah, like I said, he has always proven to be a big moment kicker because he's made a lot of big kicks for us. I mean, he
playoffs and Super Bowls, right? He's won them.
I think if I'm not mistaken, 2 years ago against the Eagles, that he kicked the game-winning field goal. He made several kicks last year in the playoffs to keep us in games. I think he's made for it. So I don't know. I mean, maybe he'll be, just it's such a mental thing for kickers. It's all mental, Right. So to your point, if he's because now he's getting asked questions, right? Now, to your point, what I was just saying, he's over there with 2 reporters asking him questions. Now, right. First game, there's going to be 50. He just brought all this attention on.
Right.
And you bring up a good point. That's going to take away from the team's goal of everybody just freaking. And
the Chiefs, are they favored?
Yeah, I mean they're up there. I don't think they're the favorite, but I mean they're
going to be in the mix, right?
Yeah, because they have the same team basically. In fact, we're probably a better team next year.
This will be fun to kind of get back and keep up with all of this, especially with our show. You being a Chiefs fan and knowing a little bit more about it than I do, so I'm going to follow along for just the circus part of it.
Yeah,
and I'm in. I think that'll be kind of fun. Well, so we've got an idea for Thursday's show. It's going to be going over Apple's top 100 albums.
Best albums of all time,
then Greg has a little game for us to play, which will be awesome. Can't wait to find out. If you need me to do something, please let me know.
I think we're good. I might need another jingle. I think I'm going to have to come up with a jingle.
Another excuse for Greg to get back in the studio, just like Dr. Dre, to put together some kind of a jingle. Yeah. Metro Boomin, you're the new Metro Boomin, which what's funny? I am so old, and I saw a lot of posts. I think it was last week. They said, "Oh, the guy that ended Drake's career," and everybody kind of attributed it to Kendrick, but I think it's Metro that was the final punch.
Okay.
When everybody started rapping over the beat that he put out, BBL Drizzy remix.
All right.
And I saw him. He was in St. Louis. And all the posts were like, Metro's here, St. Louis, and, all this stuff. And somebody says he's back home. And I was like, he's back home. So I just did a little wiki research on him. He's a St. Louis kid.
No.
I had no idea.
That's awesome.
So he's from St. Louis. So he came back and they had a big downtown St. Louis party. And he was playing the BBL Drizzy song. And the crowds were huge. And they were just making fun of Drake and everything. I'm like... This is amazing, just pop culture wise.
Yeah,
to see literally, arguably one of the top artists, top selling artists for sure of the last decade, still going strong at the top of his game, and is pop culture. He is like most people have taken sides against him.
Yeah, just with all the rap battle stuff, right?
It is crazy. That Metro kid, he's from St. Louis. I thought that was pretty cool.
Does he live in Nelly's mansion that's abandoned?
I saw that. I was like, depending on how low that goes, Greg and I, with all the money we're making.
Yeah, we could be a great spot for our show.
where we just record and
What
have
if we
guests come?
What if we just recorded their like Blair Witch Project?
just go out there, right? I can bring my Milwaukee rocket light with us to
dude. That was getting me going
us
last night. I will anytime you want. If you want me to come on your other show, and I can speak. I mean, literally for years. I mean, I worked at Lowe's, worked at Best Buy,
Dillard's, right?
Yeah, I know. I can tell you how all those promotions are set up. So that's why I was so worked up last night. I was trying to help you answer questions.
I remember way back in the day when you were at Dillard's here in St. Louis, and just random stories that you would tell me about how people would steal from the company. And the one story I still remember you telling me is they would steal it, literally steal it. Not what I was talking about with the Milwaukee hack. That's completely different.
Right. Yeah.
But they would steal it, bring it back, return it, and get the money, right?
Yeah, we could look in this particular instance. Somebody was trying to return a dress that showed no sales in the history of the company. So it had just come out. So it was like a brand new, dress that had just been put on the floor. So our system showed no sales. You could look it up. There was 0 sales at all anywhere in the region. So we're talking like 5 states. And and it was, I had to refuse it, and it was really hard because they didn't have a receipt or anything, but it was like, I basically was like, no, we can't take that back. And it's just a hard thing.
Can you imagine though, these days, like putting yourself out there to where you could physically get harmed because you're trying to stop it? Like I would be like, I'm not doing this for Dillard's.
Oh yeah. We used to be told, like, I'd watch people run off with stuff. Like we weren't really allowed as employees to chase anybody,
right?
For that same reason, it's like, but I'd literally just see people come up and just grab the first stack of clothes on those tables by like the entrance of like a department store, right? They just come up, swipe them, and run off, and they would just look back at you laughing, because like if there wasn't security guard around or anything, I mean, that's all you could do is call and be like, hey, this person just ran off, but you're really not allowed to do anything.
But I don't think you want your people to do it, right? It's not worth getting shot or hurt.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, shit, the GH hack, the General Hospital actor over the weekend got shot because somebody was trying to steal the catalytic converter.
Yep. Yeah.
It's not.
But I can tell you, like I said, if you ever want me to come on, I mean, I've set up like all those things, they're all discussed, like the way things stack. Like somebody somewhere is having conversations about stuff going, hey, somebody could do this. And one of your comments you mentioned last night said it. I mean, they know it's happening, and generally it's a small percentage of people that abuse something. And it's not enough for them to pull it off. Because like to your point, most people probably aren't doing the hack. I wasn't really sure. I never really heard about it. I was trying to kind of follow you and try to understand what was all going on. But it sounds like it's just like you can essentially buy some stuff, you get free things, then you can essentially return some of the stuff you don't need, right? And so it's
the basis of it is you buy a tool at full price, and then there's a list of like 5 or 6 other tools that you can get for free. You just pick one.
Yeah.
And then when it goes onto the cart and when you check out for your receipt, it's not a free item you're getting. They're breaking up the cost of that original tool between the 2 tools.
Yeah. Right.
And there's nothing that says you can't return it. It's not a bundle. And it's just like you go to Home Depot on the weekend, you buy a bunch of shit to do a DIY project. You don't
which I do all the time. Yep.
You don't need it. You take back what you don't need that you didn't open.
Right.
That's the hack. I just said, my thing is, I think it gets a bad name because it's called the hack, which makes it sound like it's not necessarily on the up and up. I like you brought in the term, it's kind of a loophole, but then I'm like, loophole is closer to it. Yeah. Loophole is still there's indications that it's
insinuating. I used to, when I was at Best Buy, I managed our pre-owned business, and one of the things that I would do, and I managed our trade-in business. So if you remember, like people trading in games, like Best Buy for a long time had I'm sure they still do, but there was trade-ins that would come in, was guys would play a game, bring it in, get money back. And a lot of gamers, the purpose of it was to keep them in your ecosystem, right? So they buy the game from you, they come back, say you buy a brand new Madden, comes out, you play it for a couple weeks, and then you're kind of done with it. I mean, that would apply. This probably applies to more like the shooter games, right? You play Call of Duty, you finish it, you're like, okay, I'm going to go trade it in now. I've played it for 3 weeks. We would typically still give like $30, $35 for that game.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were in Best Buy's gaming club, which most retailers had something like that, you were getting a discount off the initial game. So what they would do is play a game, turn around, buy it. And a lot of times they were just using that as their money. So they're staying in the ecosystem. They're buying for $40, trading it for $35, buy the next game that comes out, and you just keep doing that.
Sure.
But occasionally what would happen is if I missed, like, as my job was to kind of keep an eye on stuff, if I missed a markdown somewhere, or say like somebody else somewhere marked that game down, say they marked a game down to $20, but I was offering it for 30, or my own team, put something on sale and I didn't catch it, I would see on Monday, like, oh my God, we had 1,000 trade-ins. What the hell's going on? And I'd see like some game I'd never heard of. What the gamers would do is they go to blogs, just like you're talking about. So back, blogs instead of TikTok at the time, but they'd go in and say, hey guys, Best Buy selling this game for $10 and they're giving 20 on trade-in. So you could literally go buy the game, walk over to the desk and trade it in without leaving the store and make $10.
Right.
And they're not doing anything wrong. That's on us. That was just a mistake.
Yeah.
And but I would catch it so part of my job was I'd read blogs, and as soon as I'd see like somebody going, oh man, Best Buy's got this game, because usually it was some game I hadn't even, like Excite Bike from like 2000, it's like you could make $5 on this. Right. So I'd go in and then I would adjust that trading value. I'd be like, oh, sorry, fellas, 25 cents. Like, because we didn't want that inventory either. So again, they're not doing anything wrong, but they're just sharing what you can do. And that's
all the different ways that you can kind of do things. Some are completely like legitimate different ways to sell and market. And then like what you're describing here is this is an actual loophole that you guys just need to kind of close up, because it obviously doesn't make any sense.
Because anytime we would plan promos, I mean, I've planned promos forever. Like promos, when you plan a promo, when something's on sale, usually the manufacturer of that item is offering the retailer something in return. So like if somebody has something on sale for $20, normally whoever the brand is giving the retailer money for every item that gets sold on that ad. So they're essentially keeping the retailers whole on their margins. Like there's a little bit of shared, like, so say if the retailer made $8 on this item every time they sell one, when on ad, maybe it's like $7, like we lose $1, but you're almost being kept whole. That's generally how retailers work it, is the manufacturers try to keep you whole on, like, your margins.
Sure.
So
that makes sense.
They give you money to mark it down. And that's how generally how it works across. And so the same thing happens on like those bundles and stuff. They all work it through. They got people thinking about it. Okay, what can happen? What do you do with the, club stuff, Best Buy, Target, everybody's got those memberships, right?
Yeah.
Things like that. Okay, this person, because they're a Prime customer, they get, 10% off always. So how does that, you always have to be okay. So it's all being thought about, so to your point, I mean, they know it's happening. So it's not, I mean, you should never be told you're stealing, to your point. That's what I was trying to make you feel.
Or at least make it, let's make sure we define what's the real stealing is stealing.
Yeah. Stealing is stealing. Yeah. There are people, stealing would be, using your receipt to go, or bring an empty box back, or like things like that. That's stealing. A lot of times.
Or what they did at Dillard's.
Yeah.
Grabbing all the table full of sweaters. That's stealing.
And return it. Yeah. And to your point, you're not doing anything more than returning and they could probably easily go, sorry, we can't do it. Or if they wanted to change it, they would, and they'd say, sorry, you got to return all the things on this. You know what I mean? Like this was purchased, as a bundle, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's why it's not, that's why they have, you have sales that are bundles there also. So they could, but they don't. So I agree with you. They do. They know what's going on. They're doing it on purpose. It's part of a marketing thing. So, and
it's a small percentage, because like you said, either there's people that just don't care. Like me, I'd probably be like, I don't even feel like going and doing that. Or it's a small enough, because if it got out of hand, if it got to be like, well, this is a problem, like they'd squash it in a heartbeat. I mean, they just shut it down. But yeah, that's not the intention of those things. Is to build you to be a Milwaukee person, that you're just going to keep, because once you, especially in those battery business. So when I worked at Lowe's in Charlotte, I was part of that. That was the team I was on, was the battery powered stuff. And was exactly what they're doing. They're trying to get you in their ecosystem so that you never leave, because you have all these battery powered things. You're not going to just start another brand. You're going to be like, no, I already have this. I'm going to keep buying Milwaukee because I already have 3 battery operated. That's the whole point of those things. They're just trying to get you to keep buying this. That's
what I'm doing.
Multiple things. Yeah.
It's worse than a drug addiction.
Yeah. What are you buying? You just like the tools, or
why am I buying Milwaukee, or just
no? Because I thought I saw you got a light. I thought maybe, is it just tools for the house and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very casual DIYer.
I like Milwaukee too. It's great stuff.
Is that light that I got and used as my demonstration, is that something I needed? No, absolutely not. It was something that was just kind of cool, but trying out this hack just gave me the opportunity to go ahead and get it. And I can use it for a whole bunch of different things if I wanted to, but it wasn't a need. And I'm going to have to cut that part out so my wife doesn't hear that. But that's why I was kind of stoked that we had all these tornadoes go through, because I'm like, hey, if a tornado comes and we lose power, where are we going to get our lights from? Yeah. And
I got
like,
this drill.
Now I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I love it. I thought maybe you're using it for work. I thought maybe it was like something
I could.
I heard you say that last night. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, well, let's end on something real quick, a little update on our social media presence out there. We're looking right now at the Iller and Filthier Instagram page, which is slowly but surely we're getting some people to follow, which is nice. I think on here, we just hit 100 followers, Greg, on Instagram, which is fantastic for what we do. And normally the stupid videos and stuff that Greg and I put out, I mean, we get anywhere from 50 to 200 people viewing it or whatever. And again, we just started. We're having fun with it. We're kind of goofy and quirky. Sometimes you guys don't even understand what we're doing. That's okay. But a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the whole Drake Kendrick rap beef, and that was kind of fun to dissect and get into.
Still crushing it, man.
And this video right here, if you guys can see my cursor going around it, this was one. It's got 411,000 views. And every time you exit and then come back into Instagram, just 20 minutes later, it's people liking it or leaving comments, and they're both good and bad comments or whatever. But I wanted to touch on real quickly the most common negative comment that we're getting for that video is, well, there's two. One is, and I absolutely agree with them too, is this guy is, all he's doing is just standing there just reacting and not doing anything. And I'm like, yeah, that's the whole point.
Have you ever seen TikTok?
But yeah, I mean, but I think it's kind of ridiculous too that and this was spur of the moment. I saw the video on TikTok and I just did what are those called? A stitch, or whatever they're called on TikTok.
Is it it's not a dual, or what do they call it?
A duet is on Instagram. So I think it's called maybe a stitch. I don't know, but it's what TikTok wants you to do.
Yeah.
Right. Instagram is the same thing. Instagram has something similar. They want you to do it. So I saw this thing from Elmwood Public Library, and I was like, I'm just going to be stupid. And I kind of want to just show Greg just how easy and low effort you can do something. And I thought, well, maybe we'd get 200 views and I could just show Greg, hey, you don't always have to create a video. You just have to put it on yourself reacting to something. Got done with it. Didn't think much of it. And then slowly it started picking up steam on TikTok. And I don't know how many views it has on TikTok right now, but I was like, you know what? When you do these short form videos for a site, it only makes sense to post it on the other site as well. You're trying to be as efficient as you can and give content to the people that are on Instagram as well, YouTube. So I took that video and downloaded it, but I also you see on here that I have as the caption on the top, Elmwood Public Library digital media team just won this for everyone. So I have who did it.
Yeah.
Because I did this on TikTok, it's also tagging that library too on TikTok. So I was like, I'm covered on it.
Yeah.
That's good. And plus, being a photographer myself, I do try to make sure that I credit people where credit is due. Sometimes on the internet, it's very hard to find the original source of things. It's not an excuse. And really, if I was a perfect person, I wouldn't do it if I can't credit the original person. But I did make a point to put the caption up there just to make sure that I'm crediting that particular library. So I downloaded it, I put it on Instagram, and I think at the time I was wherever I was just on my phone, and I tried searching on Elmwood real briefly, and I couldn't find their account. Sometimes it's just hard finding that actual account and making sure it's the real account, you know?
Right.
But I was like, well, at least I have it in the caption here that it's Elmwood Public Library. So we posted on Instagram, and then as that started blowing up, again, we're at 411,000 views. Probably the most commented thing negative-wise is you got to tag the original person. And I'm like, I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
Could I have done a little bit more work and actually physically use the @ tag on Instagram? Yes. And looking back, I would try to do that.
Yeah.
But I at least have the caption with their name in it.
Yeah. Yeah. What are people complaining? Why like that you don't?
Well, because they're thinking that we're getting all the views and not giving credit to the original Elmwood Library. And I'm like, are you guys even looking at the video? It's there in the caption.
Yeah, it says it. Right.
So
interesting.
That's the only thing I wanted to go off on. But yeah, just congratulations on getting to 100 on Instagram. I know on our TikTok and our YouTube, we're growing on that also.
How about that Tecmo Bowl over there?
And then
Did you catch that?
Tecmo Bowl for the NCAA 25, his little ad for us getting excited. So we have a lot of just goofy, quirky videos we post. Sometimes it may not make sense to you guys, but hopefully you just know that the vibe around here on this channel is to kind of have fun. Sometimes we'll have some serious discussions on things, but our intent is always just to kind of have some open dialogue. And at times you're gonna be able to hear kind of multiple sides of things and see what it's like to have a grown-up kind of conversation with a tinge of humor.
That's right.
As always.
We're gonna laugh.
A little laugh, and then we all go about our day and enjoy the world and everything. So anyways, I just wanted to give an update on our Instagram page. Come back on Thursday, May 30th. I think I had the wrong date at the beginning of our show. Thursday, May 30th, around 8 o'clock is going to be episode 6. We're going to go over the Apple Music Top 100. Greg's going to kind of walk us through some of that. I'm going to see it for the first time, and we'll give our opinions. So on behalf of Mr. Greg, way up wherever he lives in his secret spot up north, I'm coming from St. Louis. We'll see you on Thursday.